Hello out there everyone, all of my crafty friends and family. Thank you so much for joining me today here on YouTube. I want to take this time to say I am so blessed to have all of you that love me and support me the way you do. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I am an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator here in Gastonia, North Carolina. And if you don't currently have a demonstrator that you're working with, I would love to help you with any and all of your Stampin' Up needs. I do offer incentives if you purchase from my store, and that's why I have a host code. So if you spend $50 or more in my online store, and you use, that's before shipping and tax, it has to be the retail dollar amount, and you use this host code, you will receive a free gift from me. But for the month of March, if you use my host code and you make any size purchase, your name will go in the drawing for this Darling Donkey stamp set. Now, if you remember, this was a celebration item. They are no longer available, so if you missed out on this and you still would like to have one, back during the celebration campaign, if you spent $50, you got a choice of anything in the celebration catalog, and this was one of them. So I'm giving people an opportunity with any size purchase. You can do a $5 purchase, you could spend $20, $50, all the way up to whatever you would like to spend with me, and your name will definitely go in a drawing to win this stamp set. So that's a little bit of an incentive to shop with me. Today I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way, and it will also flash up on the screen, as well as all of my measurements will pop up on the screen, and all of the items that I'm using, from tools to cardstock to embellishment, specialty paper, etc., etc. Today we're going to be making, and this is like a little floating butterfly card. Now this will fold like that and fit into a regular size envelope if you're mailing it. But what is so cute about this is it will sit on your desk. So if you send this to someone, and we can also put a white panel back here, and you can write your sentiment or a little note or whatever. We do have a sentiment right here. It says, "Thank you for being my friend." And I did that with gold embossing powder, and I heat set it. And then of course this is our Butterfly Brilliance dies that I used to cut this beautiful butterfly. And this is another die set called Friendly Silhouettes, and it cuts some beautiful pieces, and we'll look at that more as we go along. The first thing we want to do is go ahead and cut our cardstock down to 5.5. So this is an 8.5 piece of basic black cardstock, and we're going to cut this in half at 5.5. And we can just lay this piece over and save it for another card base. Now this card's a little different because normally at this point we would score our card in half, but we're not doing that with this one. We're going to go to 5 3/4, and we're going to cut. Just take that edge off so you have a nice little piece here you can use for another card. Now we're going to do some scoring. We're going to score at 3/4 of an inch. And it's easier if you do it on this side. So 1, 2, 3, that third line over, just line your edge of your cardstock up to there. And now we're going to be using the light gray blade, and we're going to score. And then we're going to move it over to 1.5. And if you move it all the way over to the edge, and it will catch right there on that lip and score, that's exactly 1.5. Now we're going to turn this around. Just turn it around so that now your scored side is to your left and this edge is to your right. And we're just going to repeat that. 3/4 of an inch and score, and then 1.5, and take it all the way over to the edge, and that is exactly 1.5. Now we have the bases of our little fun fold, and this is known as a bridge card, but what makes this so much fun is we are going to, for our bridge, we're going to use a piece of acetate that's going to cause our window to have a floating appearance. So let's go ahead and fold our score lines. So we're going to fold let me get my bone folder. Everybody needs a bone folder, so if you have not invested in one, these are not that expensive. They are like, I think $7, I believe, 6 or 7. And these are essential for getting a nice crease on your cardstock. So this is what you want to do. You want to fold this one in and this one out so that your card is like that. So now we're going to go over to this one, fold the first line in, and you want to check and make sure that let me zoom you in a little bit. You want to check and make sure that your edges are lined up so that they're completely straight there and there before you manipulate and burnish that down. That's just a good rule of thumb anytime that you're doing folds on your cards. And if they're not lined up correctly, you can kind of maneuver it or manipulate it so they are even, and then burnish with your bone folder. So there's our card base. It's that simple. But now the magic comes into decorating. Now I have 2 strips of this beautiful rainbow glimmer paper, and let me show you what a full sheet of this looks like. It is gorgeous, and this is in our annual catalog. And all I did was I cut a strip off of here. How did I do that? Like this? No, like this. I'll get it right in a minute. I cut a strip off, and if you noticed, I used the other side here. That's the other half of it on this card. So I thought with this one, we are going to cut these strips, and I need to decide what colors do I want to shine on this card. And I think I want that beautiful greeny apple green. Isn't that gorgeous? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this. These pieces are going to go on here, but not until we make our bridge. But I am going to cut these down to 5.5 because we know that our card is 5.5 inches this way. So we'll put these in the trimmer and we'll cut off the purple edge at 5.5. So, but before we do that, I'm going to show you what I did. On this one, I did this butterfly. I decided to go a little bit different. So out of a piece of our gold foil, and our gold foil comes in 12 by 12 sheets like this. It is a beautiful, beautiful card. I mean, just a beautiful gold foil. Very shimmery. It catches the light beautifully, and it looks good on anything. And I especially like to do my die cuts with that. Now, any of you that's following my series, Stampin' 101, we have not gotten to die cutting yet. So that may be a foreign term to you. But if any of you that have been following me or any other paper crafting videos, you know that, so sorry, I have got a frog in my throat. Our dies, this is the Brilliant Wings that goes with the Butterfly Brilliance. These are gorgeous, and this is the detailed dies. Let me show you those dies. Many of you have already grabbed these up, and this is the die set. These are the detailed pieces here. I love, love, love. I used this one in the previous card, but this time I decided to go with this one. And all I did was I cut it out of the gold, and I did see a few pieces left in there. I'm just trying to hold it up to the light and make sure I got all of my little pieces out. And see, there was a couple of pieces that fell out. I also cut a black piece, and there's a little piece of black still in there. So I'm double checking this one. This one looks good. Let's get that little piece of black off my desk. And all I did with the first one is I layered these two pieces together. And I'm making this one the same way, so if you have the set, you can use which butterflies you like, and any of them or all of them will work. It's totally a preference. Now I'm bending the wings up just a little bit. The reason I like to do that is I like to use a glue dot to adhere these down, and these are our little mini glue dots, and they work fabulous. I am going to grab my Take Your Pick tool because I am going to be very specific, I'll get that word out in a minute, as to where I want to put these. And I want one to go right there in the middle. And you know, I think that's all we're going to need. I really think that we can line this butterfly up and just use that one, because all we're doing is lining up the body. And just press that down like that, and we got it. Very pretty. Very, very, very pretty. So, I don't know, I think I need maybe a half of one. So let's see if we can roll one of these. These things are so versatile. You can actually roll them up to make them smaller. So I am going to slip a rolled one right up underneath the bottom, just like that, and bring that down on top of it. That just stabilizes our butterfly even more. Now, those wings are gorgeous like that. Look at that. So what I want to do next is go ahead and decide what paper we want to put back here. And I don't think I want to use paper. I'm going to do the same thing because I love that black background. But using these friendly silhouettes, I cut out this piece right here. And I cut it out of that Glimmer paper that I showed you earlier. And let's see, did I have my pieces? No, I thought I might have had my pieces laying here that I cut from it. I was going to show you my negatives, but that's neither here nor there. I just took a piece of it and I cut all the way down, and as you can see, this is the other piece of that. And if you hook that together right there, that would be the entire die cut out. So what I did is I cut this to fit inside, and now we're going to do the same thing using this piece. And I am going to cut this one right about there. So all I'm going to do is just fold that back and get myself a cut line, and then I'm going to use my paper snips, and I am going to cut straight up to there. And then I believe that this is going to fit perfectly. We might need to cut that one. Let's see, yeah, we're going to need to cut up right here. And then I think that will fit perfectly. Yep, that works. So let me pull all of my little doodads that I cut. But this is such a beautiful die set. And this die set will stand alone. Look at that beautiful. This would be so pretty as a beach scene. And then use some other little ditties on it. Love it, love it, love it. And then you also have this die. And you've got the little cattails and just some little greeneries and stuff, which would make a beautiful run on the bottom of a card. Like I said, these dies are absolutely beautiful and so easy to work with. So I love those, and I really wanted to play with that one, so that's the reason I used this for this particular card. So let me slide these back into their envelope and lay them to the side. And I tried to pre-cut some of this stuff so that it wouldn't cause the video to carry on quite so long. Now I'm going to keep this little piece because I may be able to use it later on, but if I don't, it's no biggie. So what I'm going to do now is I just want to put a little bit of glue on the bottom of this, and I am going to go ahead and, oops, I got a little place that didn't come out. When you turn these over on the back side, that's when you can really tell what needs to be popped out. Everything else is popped out beautifully and it's working. So I'm just going to take a little glue and run it right along the base, just like that. And then I'm going to bring this all the way to my bottom, sliding it down, just like that. And Toby just heard a truck go by, so he's barking. Sorry about that. He's so funny. I think it was like a dump truck or something, but it made some noise. So he is all the way to the front door, and he is letting them know that they don't belong on his street. He's such a good little protector. Like I said, he's just a little tiny Shih Tzu, about 12 pounds, but he thinks he's a Rottweiler. Oh goodness, I love my little booger so much. All right, there we go. We've got that in. So now I am going to take, and I laid it out, but of course it was acetate, so here we go. I have a piece of acetate that is 4 inches. It is 1 and I think this is a 1/2 inch. Let me check for y'all to make sure. Yeah, this is a 1/2 inch wide and 4 inches. Yeah, 4 inches long. So we need to decide, and I've got a little bit of glue right there. That's okay. That came off pretty good. We need to decide exactly where you want that to fall on your card. I really want mine to come about midway. You can go up a little higher if you want, but you have to remember that your butterfly is going to sit on here like that. So, and I want to place at the top to do a sentiment. So what I'm going to do is I am going to glue this down, and I'm going to actually use, let me pull out my silicone craft mat, because I am going to use some Stampin' Seal, y'all. Stampin' Seal. Why do I call this press and seal? I think because I use press and seal in my kitchen so often. But anyway, I'm just going to put one little amount of Stampin' Seal on each end of this. And this is the Stampin' Seal Plus. I do prefer it, but of course it's a preference. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just glue this down right there. And then I'm going to press that down and then bring this over to here. It doesn't have to fit all the way to the end as long as it's straight. You want this piece to be straight, and you want it so that when you bend your card out that this doesn't buckle. So that assures that you don't get a buckle, and we still have a place to put that. But now this is where our little glimmer strips are going to come in, because we want to cover that up. Because if you're using acetate or even vellum, you can always see the adhesive under it, and we don't want to see that, so we're going to cover it up. Let's get our trimmer back out, because we do need to trim these down to 5.5. And remember, I'm going to leave the green showing, and I'm going to cut off at the bottom where that beautiful purple is. And the only reason I'm keeping this is because it will match this right here. So you can cut them both at the same time, or you can do them separate. I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to bring them both over to 5.5, line them up, lock it down, and slice. And you might want to go through it a few times just to make sure it cuts. And now these are ready to go on our card. So all we're going to do now is I'm going to bring that little silicone craft sheet back in, and I'm going to use some liquid glue. Now you can use your Stampin' Seal here, or you can use liquid glue. And all I'm going to do now is just bring this over, and I'm going to line these up from top to bottom, sliding it on so that it's a perfect fit. Once I get that where I want it, then I'm going to press that down. Now, one good thing about Stampin' Up's Glimmer paper, and it's any of the sparkly papers are called Glimmers. And the good thing about that is your shiny stuff does not flake. I don't know if you've used glitter paper before, but it will get all over everything. That will not happen with Stampin' Up. It is such good quality paper that your glimmers just stay right onto the sheet. You don't lose any of it, and you don't have a mess on your desk when you're finished working with it, which to me is such a win-win. I hate having glitter all over my work surface. And then I wear it. It's on my face. I go to the kitchen. I feel like I'm getting it in my food. So I don't like it. I do love Glimmer. I love putting Glimmer on a card like this. Look how pretty that is already. And we haven't even got our butterfly on here. And the reason I did the body in black underneath, first of all, it gives us the opportunity to bend our wings up quite a bit. But it also lends itself to being able to just have that extra dimension in your butterfly, and I think that's so pretty. So I'm going to actually take glue dots again, and I am going to use my Take Your Pick tool, and I'm going to pull a couple of these glue dots off, and I'm going to put them right here in the middle of my acetate. Now, Stampin' Up! Sells these. They're called window sheets. I didn't have any, so I just went and found a little piece of acetate that I had in my stash. But I will definitely link the number for the window sheets. So if you're interested in picking some up, you can. I'm getting some because I got a feeling it'd be much more sturdier than what I'm using here. And then I just press the butterfly onto those glue dots. And we have a beautiful floating butterfly card. Isn't that gorgeous? Now the only thing left to do is our sentiment. So for our sentiment, I think this time I want to bring something all the way across. And oh, here's my silhouette that I cut out. I knew I had it somewhere. Yeah, right there. So you can see I cut the entire piece. This is the negative area that was left. And I still think it was, I still think it was beautiful. So, I want to do something across here, and I'm thinking I want to play on to that green. So I'm going to grab a piece of Granny Apple Green, and let's see if I have a scrap. And I do. I love it when I can find a scrap to use. And this is going to work out perfect because we're only going to need a strip. And I'm going to show you how we're going to do this. I know I'm going to need a piece that's 4 inches. So let's go ahead and turn this around. And I'm going to put this to 4 because I want it to go from here to here. And I'm pretty sure if we measure, oh, it's a little bit longer. It is about 4 1/4, which is perfect. So we're going to measure this down to 4 1/4, and then I'm just going to slice that off, and then I want to cut a 1 inch piece, maybe 3/4. No, I'm going to 1 inch. I'm going to commit to 1 inch. And I'm going to show you, I just received this punch. It's been in our catalog for a while, but it's my first encounter with playing with it. And this is the Banner Pick-a-Punch. And if you look up here at the top, it's got the dimensions of what pieces fit. Now, a full 1 inch piece is the largest piece that you can put in there. Let's go ahead and unlock this punch, and I'm going to show you if you wanted to do a banner or if you wanted to do the opposite of a banner, you can do both. I think for this card, this one I actually only punched it on this one side, and I left this side flush, and I put it on. But this one, I think I want to do it different. I'm going to turn this over and maneuver this piece of paper up into that. And if you can see, you see how it's up in there? And we're just going to punch that. So now when you take that out, you have that little, looks like an arrow. And I'm going to do it on both sides because I want it to be the same on both. So just, all you do is just feed your piece of paper into the punch. Once you get it in, turn it over, and then you can maneuver it exactly where you want it, and then punch. And then we got a cute little piece that we can put across the top of the card, and we can stamp. Now I heat embossed on the Gorgeous Grape, but on this one I'm just going to stamp in black. And for this one, what do I want to use? I'm going to use the here's a card. I love the stamp set for sentiments. And I think I'm going to use I Made You a Card Because You're Worth It. One of my all-time favorite little sentiments out of this stamp set. There's so many in this one though. I made you a card because you're worth it. And I want to center that right in the middle. And we are going to grab our Momento. Let me get a stamp block. That would probably be the next best thing to do. So I'm going to grab this one right here. And it's very important when you are stamping to have a stamp block that fits your stamp for two reasons. It keeps you from rocking so much. If you've got a stamp block that fits, you have a better chance of getting a good image. That's one reason. The other reason, it just makes it easier when you're stamping to have the size stamp block that you need. So here's my Momento Tuxedo Black, and I'm gonna, now when you're using the Momento, you do have to stamp it in the ink a little bit more than you would if you were using the Stampin' Up! Ink pads. So I'm going to go right here in the middle, as close to the middle and as straight as I possibly can get it, and stamp. And I give it a little time, especially with the Momento, just to let that ink transfer to the paper. There we go. Beautifully stamped, ready to go. And for a quick cleanup with your stamps, the Simply Chamois works great. It takes the ink off with just water. Now, I do suggest if you are stamping a lot of different colors, I suggest you to get the Stampin' Scrub and the Stampin' Mist Stamp Cleaner because they work great together. And y'all seen me use that many times. And I do go back and do a thorough clean on my stamps using that. So now this piece is ready to go on our card, if I can find the card. And now we can very easily put this piece right here, or you could do it right here under the edge of the butterfly. Totally up to you. It's a personal preference, what you like. And you know, I am debating. I think I like it right there. Not all the way to the top, but right at the wings of the butterfly. So I'm going to grab my silicone craft mat again, and I am going to grab my Stampin' Seal, and I'm just going to put a piece there and a piece there. And let's bring our card back over, and I am going to hold this in the middle, and I'm going to bring it down where I want it, making sure I'm getting it straight. That's the most crucial thing on this card, is making sure that your folds are nice, your items are glued on nice and straight. And if it's not, then reposition it. Just like that. Now we're going to cut a piece out for the back, and this piece is going to be 2.5. So 2.5 by 5 1/4. So I'm going to grab a piece of white, and I thought I had a piece. And let's go ahead and cut a piece of white. You know what? I know I've got a piece of white over here. I've got scraps of white coming out of the yin-yang, so let's go ahead and grab a piece of white. Let's see if this will work. Yeah, we'll cut this piece down, and this will definitely work. And what this piece will be for is you can write a note on the back of this to your recipient. So I am going to cut this down to 5 1/4. And then I want to cut this to 2 and, what did we say? That's how fast numbers go out of my head. Are y'all like that? Do y'all have to measure like 2 or 3 times? I know I do. 1, 2, 2.5. Yeah, 2.5. So 2.5 would be right there. So I'm just going to slice that off. And now we have this piece that we can put on the back. And if you wanted to, you could stamp some little colored butterflies on here. You could do some flowers, or you could just leave it blank, which is what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to put it on here just yet. And look at that. That is hanging off right there. If you have a hangover on your card, take your snips and just very gently go in and trim that away. Just like that. Because you always want your cards to look neat, and sometimes you just didn't line it up quite right. It may have slid or slipped. But look how easy this card went together, and there's our little piece to go on the back, and I cut that so that we would have a nice little border around the edges, and I think that is just simply adorable. And so I'm going to actually write something on the back of this before I glue it down, because once you glue it down it's going to be hard to write. Even if you put it out like this, you're going to be writing against the folds and the pieces that you put on here, and it'd be just a little bit more difficult. But I think that card turned out absolutely adorable. Look how cute it is. I'm going to zoom y'all in just a little bit so you can get a better view of this absolutely gorgeous little card. I hope you enjoyed the making of this, another one of our butterfly. I told y'all I was going to be working with this because it is just too stinking cute not to work with. And look how the butterfly looks like. He's floating in, I mean, just suspended in the air. I love it. I hope you enjoyed the making of this card. It's a very simple and easy card to make. Just 3 or 4 score lines and a piece of cardstock with some pieces to cover up your workings, and you've got a beautiful card that gives a punch when the recipient opens it. And isn't that what we're all looking for? Thank you once again for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It means so much to me. We are getting there. I'm up to 966 subscribers, so we're only 44 away. No, is that 44? No, not 44. 34 subscribers away from me meeting that 1,000, and then I can come to y'all live. Yay! So I'm excited. I hope you are, and I hope that it will not be long before we can celebrate that 1,000 mark. And it's been a long climb to that, but I'm excited for my journey. I love you all so much, and as I always say in closing, let everything that you do and say, every word you speak, and every action you make bring glory to our Father in heaven. He is so worthy. And until we craft again, God bless and keep you. And bye-bye.